Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom, and welcome back to today's Daf, which is Eruvin the Peites. We're beginning the Mishnah and the new Perek, 5 lines from the top. Says the Mishnah, Kol gagois ha'ir rishus achas. All the city's rooftops are regarded as one and the same rishus. Now, we know that one is not meant to transfer a kli from one person's property to the other person's rishus without an erev chatzeris, because that's reminiscent of transferring from one type of rishus to the other, like rishus yachish surab. So we're not meant to do that. However, says the Mishnah, when we speak about rooftops, which are not really areas of such personal use, it doesn't have that personal element to it, so you can go ahead and transfer a kli from one rooftop to the other. So even though this rooftop belongs to Eruvin and the other one to Shimon, since these areas are not designated for intense personal use, it's lacking that personal element to it, and therefore it's not considered as though you're transferring from Ruvain's personal space to Shimon's personal rishus, and an erev chatzeris here is not necessary, as we're going to see by the Hashem and Rashi. So again, kol gagas ha'ir rishus achas, all rooftops are considered to be one and the same rishus. Ubilvad, provided shelo yehi gag gavoya yud, oy nomach yud, provided that the roofs are all have the same level. They're not unequally leveled, so there's no discrepancy between the heights of the roofs. So if you have one roof which is 10 tfachim lifted off the other one, you cannot transfer from one to the other, as the Gemara will explain for us. Divrei Rabbi Meir. So essentially, Rabbi Meir holds that all the gagos are considered to be one rishus, which allows transfer from one to the other, provided that they're all equally leveled. No. Each rooftop is considered to be its own separate rishus. Just as the dwellings below those roofs are separated, are distinct, they're designated for personal use, each living quarters is designated for its family, for its inhabitants. Likewise, the rooftops above those living quarters are considered to be a reflection. They mirror the residents below. They're considered to be like an extension of the houses below, and therefore, just as you can't transfer from one house to the other, from one's personal living space to the other person's living space, likewise, the gagos have the same halacha. So that's the shittas chachamim. Rabbi Shimon Omer, he goes to the other extreme. He's very makel. He says all outdoor areas, which are non-residential areas, not household areas, not domestic areas, chatzeros, gagos, even karfifos as well, which are storage areas, outdoor storage areas. All these places are not considered to be intended for intense personal use. And therefore, says Reb Shimon, they're all classified as one and the same type of rishus, which allows carrying and transferring from one to the other without an erev. Reb Shimon, echad gagos, whether rooftops, echad chatzeros, courtyards, echad karfifos, these storage areas, all these unroofed outdoor areas, rishus achasen, they're regarded as one and the same entity. Pertaining to what? Lekalim sheshavza l'seichen, for a kli which was present in any of these areas during Ben Hashmashos, so it hadn't been designated for intense personal household domestic use. So that kli that was out in the yard, Ben Hashmashos, can be transferred throughout all these areas. However, it doesn't pertain to a kli which was actually inside one's home during Ben Hashmashos, in which case it was intended and labeled, earmarked for personal domestic use. That can't be transferred throughout because it belongs in his home. It's intended for his personal use. And moving it over to another person's chutzner, let's say, would be considered shinu rishus. Let's take a look perhaps at Rashi inside here. So Rashi here is 3 lines from the top. Kol gagos. Kol gagos ha'ir rishus achas. So this is the chiddush of Rameir, that all the rooftops all combine into one entity. Says Rashi, although downstairs we have two different homes for two different people. However, the rooftops, which are not commonly used, we don't separate and differentiate between this person's rooftop and the other person's. And what is the result of this halacha? And a kli which originated in this roof during Ben Hashmashes can be transferred to the other person's roof as well. So again, we're speaking about kelim that were not in the home during Ben Hashmashes. So since these utensils were not designated for household personal use, they were rooftop kelim, so they can be transferred throughout all the roofs. Ubelvad provided there's no height discrepancy between the rooftops. Because if there's a 10 tefach discrepancy, you cannot transfer as the Gemara will explain. So that sheet is remeir that roofs are considered to be one and the same rishus. No, each rooftop is a separate rishus. And if the residents below didn't connect through an eruv, also you cannot transfer from one gag to the other. Rabbi Shimon Mekel Mekulam, he's the most lenient. V'amar chatzeros, v'gagois, v'karfifos, she'enon yosin beis hasayim. So all these areas, hoyel v'kulam ein tashvisham miyuchad v'tadeh, since they're not personal space, not designated for intense personal use, rishus achasein, they're classified as one and the same rishus. You could transfer from one to the other. Even to take a kli from a public courtyard next door to the other public courtyard, that's okay. The only time Rav Shimon requires an eruv chatzeres is elo mishum heter klei habayis, in order to allow transferring household items from one chatzah to the other. So the item that was actually in the home during Ben Hashmashes and designated for domestic use and was taken out to the chatzah on Shabbos, that item cannot be transferred to the chatzah next door without an eruv chatzeres. But it doesn't pertain to the kli that was actually in the home. Sorry, I skipped the Rashi. This only pertains to a kli which was actually in the one of these areas during Ben Hashmashes. A kli which was present in one of these areas during Ben Hashmashes can be transferred from one of these areas to the others. But it doesn't pertain to kelim which were actually in the home during Ben Hashmashes. And he took them out to the chatzar, due to the fact that they made an eruv which allowed them to transfer from the house to the chatzar. That's how your household item ended up in the chatzar. Otherwise, how do you bring it out to the chatzar? So once that klei habayis is present in the chatzar, now we have restrictions. That he cannot take from his chatzar to next door. Unless the chatzeros may eruv with each other, because that kli has been designated for your personal use, for domestic use. It was in your home during Ben Hashmashes. It's meant to stay with you. That cannot be transferred throughout all these chatzeros, karfifes, and gagois arrangement. So in short, we seem to have three shittas here. Reb Shimon is the most mekel. All these outdoor, unroofed, non-residential areas are regarded all one and the same, and you can transfer freely throughout, provided the kli has not been designated otherwise. Regarding Chacham and Rameir, so Rameir hold that all the rooftops are regarded as one and the same, provided there's no discrepancy in height. According to Chachamim, each rooftop is considered to be separate, distinct, designated for the residents down below. Continues the Gemara. Yosef Abaye bar Abin. So Abaye bar Abin was sitting, Rav Chanina bar Abin with Rav Chanina bar Abin. V'Yosef Abaye Gabayu. And Abaye was sitting nearby, and he was listening in. V'Yasef V'Kamri, they were sitting and trying to discuss, explore Pshat in the Mishnah. They said like this, Bishloim Rabbanan Savri, we understand the Shidduch Rabbanan, that each roof is considered to be separate. Why? Kashem Shadiyur and Chaluk and Lamato, just as there are separate dwellers down below in the homes, so that separateness extends upwards as well. The rooftops are considered to be an extension of the dwelling area below. They mirror the nature of the dira below them, and therefore each gag is considered to be a separate entity. Kashem shed yurin chalukin lamata, kach the yurin chalukin lamala. Likewise, we view the rooftops as though they belong to different yurin, different residents. They're separate living quarters. So that's the pshat in the Chacham. So that's straightforward. Eller Rav Meir Micah Sava. But what's the pshat in Rav Meir? He says that all the roofs are classified as one and the same rishus. However, there can't be a height discrepancy. How does that work? Ikasavar, if he holds kashem shadiyurin chalukin lamata, just as there are separate dwellers below, kachta yurin chalukin lamala. Likewise, we separate the roofs above. Amar rishus achasen. So why does he regard all the roofs as one and the same entity? So that can't be. Ikasavar, if he holds ein chalukin, that the usage areas on top, on the rooftops, are not considered to be separate and distinct, one per household. We don't say that. Why? The chol lamala yud rishus achasi, or some cases say rishus achriti, because anything above 10, meaning a rooftop which is not level ground, it's up above, it's not a convenient usage area, it's not a place intended for intense personal use. That's considered to be a different type of rishus, and all the rooftops are regarded and classified as one and the same entity. We don't apply that, the Yurin Chalukin concept. We don't say, well, this rooftop belongs to this house, and this rooftop belongs to this house, because these are not living quarters that are designated and specific to these people. Of course, when it comes to Shabbos, of course they own it. But it's not considered to be a distinct and separate enough rishus to prevent transfer from one to the other. So if he holds that svara, then even when the rooftops have different levels, even if one is 10 tefachim off the other one, why can't you transfer? What's the problem? Sabai was listening in, and he responded. Amar lu Abayis, he told him, Lo yishmelechu. You didn't hear? Hod Amar Rav Yisrael Rav Dimi. This, what Rav Yisrael Rav Dimi said. He told us that there's a new thing of Gzeira, according to Rav Meir, which is really unrelated to the context here of Erev Chatzeres. It's a new Gzeira, and that is the basis of this specific restriction. Rav Meir would say as follows: Kol mokem shata moitzei shtei reshiyos. Whenever you find two surfaces, two levels, bein rishus achas, which are actually present within one rishus. What does that mean? Kigoin amud b'rishus hayachid gavoy asar v'rochav dalat. You have a rishus hayachid. Inside you have a post, 10 tefachim high, 4 tefachim wide. So we have the rishus hayachid around, and this post which protrudes, which extends upward. So you have a place that appears like two rishuyas, two different types of usage areas, but they're contained in one rishus. They're both rishus hayachid. So two elements in rishus hayachid. Asur l'katef. One is not allowed to take his package and put it on this post. Why not? Why can't he take a package from rishus hayachid and place it on the post, which is also rishus hayachid? The reason is gzeira mishum tel b'rishus harabim. There's a concern that if you allow this might lead a person to do the same thing in rishus harabim. To take his package from a street, put it on a mound, a tail is a mound, sitting in rishus harabim, which is 10 tefachim high, 4 tefachim wide, which is considered to be transferred from rishus harabim to a rishus hayachid. So therefore, we don't allow transfer from two levels, between two levels, even in rishus hayachid, for it might lead one to do so in rishus harabim, which is a malach. Hachinami here as well, when it comes to the uneven rooftops, you know why you cannot transfer from one to the other? For this very reason. Gzeira mishum tel b'rishus harabim, for concern that it might lead somebody to do the same in rishus harabim that has a tel. So you're right. As far as Hilchas Erev Chatzeres, there would be no limitation here. There would be no reason to prevent one from transferring throughout all these rooftops, even if they're uneven. Why? Because rooftops are not really designated for intense personal use. It's not considered to be a shini rishus, transferring from one rooftop to the other. The reason is because of Gzeira. We don't want to transfer between one level and the other for concern that he might do so in rishus harabim, which involves a malach. Okay, so that explains Pshat Rameh. Now they, listening to Abai, they figured, afilu machteshes, afilu gigas. This gzeira of Rameir of transferring between surfaces applies even to a machteshes, a mortar, or a gigas, a barrel, even these portable things carry the same concern. So you can't take something from the floor and put it on the barrel. Amla Abaye, so Abaye responded, no. Hochi Amar Mar is referring to his Rebbe Rabbah. He said as follows: Lo Yomer Rav Meir, Ela Amud v'Amasar Rechaim. Rameir only applied this gzera to something of a permanent nature, like an amud, a post, Amasar Rechaim, the base of a grinder. Hoyil v'Adam Kavelam Makom. These things are assigned permanent quarters, permanent locations. A person puts it down, leaves it there as a kviz, and resembles somewhat a til b'shesarab. So there's a gzera one on account of the other. But just a barrel, etc., these are portable, mobile items, the gzera will not apply to them. Okay. Says the Gemara, if Rameir says you can't transfer from one surface to the other, what about a wall situated in between two courtyards? That's certainly something of permanence. Rabbi Yehuda said as follows: when you'll analyze the Shittas now Mishnah, you'll conclude as follows: according to Rameir's Shita, Gagan Rishus La'atzman, all the rooftops are classified as one and the same Rishus. You could transfer from one to the other. Likewise, you can transfer from one chatzah to the other. They're considered to be one rishus. Karfifas rishus la'atzman. You can transfer throughout all these outdoor storage areas. So just as Rameir tells us in the Mishnah that gagos are one and the same thing applies to chatzeres and to kafifas. My love, doesn't this mean to say when we can transfer from one chatzah to the other, doesn't that mean the shari little tuli darach kaisel? That he's going to transfer from one chatzah over the wall, separating them, into the next chatzah. Inevitably, he's going to be transferring from a lower surface, which is the surface of the ground below of the chatzah, up to the wall, separating into chatzes, which is 10 tefachim off the ground. So here we have a case where he's transferring between two levels up onto a wall, which is something kavua. How can he do that according to Rameir? What happened to the gzera? Amar Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar Sheshes Loi. That's not what he's doing. According to Rameir, he certainly can't do that. How then is he going to transfer from one chatzah to the other, situated on both sides of the mechitza? Very simple. He's going to transfer in and out through the entranceways, which are present in that mechitza. But certainly, to take something from the floor and put it on the kaisel, according to Rameir, that's not allowed. So conclusion, the Mishnah spoke about gagois, chatzeres, karfifos. We have three shittas. According to the Chachamim, each gag is considered to be unique, separate, distinct, a separate rishus, and the Gemara explains because it reflects the dira below it. Just as the homes below that roof are considered to be separate and distinct, likewise the rooftops, each one is considered to be its own rishus, and one cannot transfer from one to the other. According to Rameir, as we just concluded, all rooftops are considered to be one and the same entity, all chatzeres are, and likewise all kafifos are considered to be one and the same entity. Now, if there's a height difference, you cannot transfer, and that is on account of exera, for it might lead one to do a malacha in Rishus Rabbah. The most lenient approach is Rav Shimon, who says all these outdoor areas, these non-domestic, non-residential areas, gagos, chatzeres, kafifas, all regarded as one and the same entity, all classified as non-residential areas which allow transfer freely throughout all these areas. And the Gemara concluded, but that's only pertaining to a kli which was present in any of these outdoor areas during Hashmashis. But a kli habayis, something which was actually in one's home during Hashmashis and designated for his own personal use, this halacha will not apply to that kli. Rather, you need an erev chatzeres to allow its transfer. Now, regarding shitas rabbanan pertaining to chatzeres and karfifos, eventually the Gemara is going to elaborate on that as well. Continues the Gemara. So getting back to the Gagos, according to the Chachamim, each rooftop is considered to be its own separate, unique entity. So we have many rooftops adjacent to each other. Each one is considered to be separate, and you can't transfer from one to the other. Says in Itmar we learned, Rav Amar ein metaltelin boy ela b'dalad amas. When one wants to carry inside on one of those roofs, you're limited to 4 amas. So even if you're going to stay within one gag, you can't transfer more than 4 amas. Ushmol Amar mutul tatal b'kulay. One can transfer throughout the entire roof, as long as you're staying within your roof. There's no limit of 4 amas. Now, why would there be a limit? Let's take a look at Rashi. 8 lines from the bottom. Rashi explains the machlokes for us. It says Rashi, Rav Omar ein metaltelin lirabanan begag hasamach chaveri. So speaking about one roof, which is right next to the other, and you're limited to 4 amas. El b'dal amas. Why? Kekivan de lirabanan kol echad rishus la'atzmai. Since each rooftop is considered to be its own separate rishus. So there's Reuven's roof, Shimon's roof, and you cannot transfer from one to the other. We consider it like they're private, like they're homes. But there's one problem here, because they're open to each other. They're completely exposed to each other. There's no mechitza there to separate them. They're exposed to each other. They interfere with each other. It's considered to be a rishus which is completely breached and exposed to another area to which he can't carry. That creates Isser. It makes him like a Carmelist, like as though he's exposed, like he's a Carmelist. So that's Rav Shita. Since we have one Gag, which is completely exposed and open to the Gag next door, which is a Makam Asla, he can't transfer there, according to Rabbanan. Each one is considered its own Rishus. So that interferes. We consider the Gag as though it's Makam Asr, Makam Carmelist, open and exposed. And you have to deal with it like a Carmelist. And you're limited to 4 amas. That's Rav Shita. However, Shmuel says, Mutal Tatal B'kulei, says Rashi. Why? Because it's not considered to be exposed at all. It's fully enclosed. How? How do we have mechitza on the roof? There's no railing there. It says Rashi, Shemechitza Samavdilos Lamata, Me Bein Adiyurim. Because the mechitzas, which are separating between the residents down below, under the roof, Amrinan, good askinu lamala. This is halacha Moshe Sinai, good asik. You slice the mechitza and bring it up. So, although between these rooftops, you have 100 rooftops, between them there are no mechitzas, no railings separating them, but there are mechitzas down below, between the homes, underneath those roofs. Those mechitzas, which are separating the dwellings down below, are viewed as though they are rising up above. According to Shmuel, the roof is batal, is connected to the dwelling area right below it. So if the dwellings are considered to be separate, the roofs come along as well. They're also considered to be separate entities, and now we have completely enclosed roofs that are not exposed to each other. The Afridu Beneim and the Mechitzas will separate between the rooftops. Therefore, according to Shmuel, you can transfer, you can carry within your rooftop without any limit of 4 amas. Continues the Gemara. B'mechitzas hanikoris. Now, suppose the mechitzas down below are visible to one who's standing on the rooftop. Let's say there is a gap between the homes. So you have 2 homes next to each other, and the mechitzas of the homes are visible up above. One who's standing on the roof sees those mechitzas. All agree. We apply the concept of good asik. We'll take those mechitzas and bring them up, and we consider the roof to be fully enclosed. Mechitzas hanikoris, the kuliyam lepligi, all agree. There's no machlekes between Rav and Shmuel that now the roof is considered to be enclosed. Ki pligi, when then is there machlekes? Mechitzas she'eina nikoris. In a case where the mechitzas are not visible from the rooftop, we have one large flat surface area which just covers over all the homes there. So there's no visibility. These mechitzas down below are invisible, up on the roof. So Rav says it can't function as a mechitza. It can't separate the two rooftops. Where Shmuel says it does, and we consider each rooftop to be separate, fully enclosed, and not paras l'makom asula. And this results in a heter to carry throughout the entire roof. So the Gemara explains, if it's not visible, Rav says you can only carry within 4 amas. Why? In this case, where the mechitzas are not visible up above, you can't bring them up. You can carry throughout the entire roof. We slice the mechitzas and bring them up, because once again, according to Shmuel, the rooftop is not an independent entity. It's part and parcel of the dwelling down below. If the dwelling is separated by the mechitza, likewise the rooftop. Tan, we learned in our Mishnah. So Chacham maintained that each gag is considered to be a separate rishus, and the Gemara assumes it means to say that you can carry throughout your own entire roof without any limit of 4 amas. This works according to Shmuel. El Rav Kasha. This seems to be inconsistent with Rav, who says you cannot carry throughout the entire roof, since it's exposed to your next door neighbor's roof. Amri be Rav Mishmei de Rav. So those in the yeshiva of Rav said in the name of Rav. The Gemara Sanhedrin actually says it's Rav Huna. When he says Amri be Rav, it's Rav Huna. So he said like this. Let's interpret the Mishnah differently. Mishnah, when it says that each roof is a separate rishus, didn't mean to say you can carry throughout the entire roof. Certainly not. The Mishnah simply means to say you must remain within your roof. So those 4 amas which you'd like to carry must all be applied within that roof. Shlo yitaltel beis amas begagzeh. You can't carry 2 amas in your roof, ubeis amas begagzeh, and 2 amas in your next door neighbor's roof. So even those 4 amas must remain within the same roof. But certainly there is a restriction of 4 amas. The reason is because the roof is totally exposed and is treated like a canvas. Says the Gemara, V'amar Rabbi Elazar, but Rabbi Elazar said, Ki avinu beBavel, when we were in Bavel, Havram Rinan, we would say like this, Bei Rav Mishmei de Rav Amri, in the Beis Medrash of Rav, they would say in the name of Rav, Emetalton Boyel Badal Damas. You can only carry within 4 amas. V'hani de Shmuel Tanu, however, those in the yeshiva of Shmuel quoted a brisa which said, Ein lahen ela gagan, that the owners of these roofs can only carry within their roof, which implies that you can carry throughout the entire roof. My ein lahen ela gagan. What does that mean? That you have your roof, lav deshara tetule bikule. Doesn't that mean that you can carry throughout the entire roof? And we have a brisa now, which seems to say that it's mutter, unlike Rav Shita. Says the Gemara, let's reinterpret the brisa as well. Let's apply the same pshat that we applied to the Mishnah to the brisa. Umi alima masnisin. Is the brisa more powerful than the Mishnah, where we had a kasha and we interpreted as follows? Do kimna, we established it, we interpreted it to mean shlo yitaltel shtei amas b'gagzeh or shtei amas b'gagzeh. When the Mishnah said that each roof is separate, didn't mean that you can carry throughout the entire roof. You're limited to 4 amas within that roof. The Mishnah is simply saying that you must remain within that roof. It's a restriction, it's not an allowance. Hachanami, here's all when it comes to the brisa. That's all the brisa means to say. Ein lahen ela gagan means you must stay within your roof. Those 4 amas must remain within the same roof. Beis amas begagzeh. Beis amas begagzeh. You can't do 2 amas on this side, 2 amas on that side. So those 4 amas must remain within the same rooftop. Amar Rav Yosef, lo yishmiel yoshmata. I never heard this halacha, this chiddush of Shmuel, this tremendous chiddush, that we apply the concept of good asik. We lift those mechitas even when they're totally invisible to one who's standing on the rooftop. That's a chiddush, I never heard that. Only Abai, so Abai responded to him. Rav Yosef forgot his learning, and Abai would remind him. He said, Ad amras ni'elan. You actually taught us this halacha. Va'aha amras ne'alon. And it was in the following context. The Mishnah says, Gag godol hasamach hakat. What if you have two rooftops? A gag godol next to a gag katan. And the larger roof is actually wider. So it's wider than the gag katan, and it's completely open to the gag katan. So since he's wider, he actually overlaps. He comes around and then extends into the gag katan. So what is halacha here? Hagadol mutar, v'katan also. The people living on the large rooftop can carry there, but the surface of the small rooftop is asur b'tilt. Perhaps let's see Rashi inside who explains this for us. 5 lines from the top. It says Rashi, Gag Godel Samach Hakat. Godel Oidif Olav Lakan Lakan. So we have the larger roof which is overlapping the small roof because he's wider, so he protrudes on both sides. What is the halacha here? Hagodel Mutal Taltaboy Durin Shaboy. People residing on the large roof can carry there. Va'afilu l'Rav. The chiddush here is even according to Rav. Why? Why do we consider this rooftop to be fully enclosed and you're not limited to 4 ames? So again, we're working with Shittas Rabbanan, that each roof is considered to be a separate entity. And we're working with Rav Shita, who says when we have 2 roofs which are exposed to each other, that creates concern. It makes the entire area like a caramelist, and you're limited to 4 ames. Here, in this case, as Rashi, it's different. We have a large roof which is exposed to a small roof. Since the large roof overlaps, it's as though he has a Pesach, as though he has an entranceway to the small gag, and it's not parts. It's not considered to be fully exposed and breached, because since he's wider, those protruding portions are considered to be overlaps, which create like a Tzuras HaPesach, 2 sides of an entranceway. So although he leads right into the small roof, but the small roof only encompasses part of the side of that roof. So he still has overlaps on either side, in which case we don't consider the entire ruach, the entire area, to be fully exposed. Therefore the gadol is regarded as though he has a mechitza and a pesach. He's not fully exposed. Let's see Rashi. So again, agadol mutar letaltal boy durin shaboy. You can carry throughout the larger rooftop. Afilu l'Rav, even according to Rav. Do mechitza shalmata sheyeshman bo'it for lakan mechitza sanikarsing. Because here we're not speaking about invisible mechitzas; they're very visible. We're speaking about the outer mechitzas of the home below, which surround this rooftop. Those mechitzas are nikaros, and they can be extended upward with the concept of good asik, and they extend all around the gag, and also in the overlapping portion facing the gag katan. So now it's as though we have a mechitza rising upward, and when he enters the small roof, he's entering in a pesach. The good askinu. Let's lift up the mechitzas. V'islu gifufi, and they have overlaps. And this breach to the cotton is not considered as a breach at all with regards to the large roof. Rather, it's considered like a Pesach. And now the cotton doesn't interfere. It's like your typical case where you have 2 chatzeres. It's a doorway. It's not parts. It's a doorway. It's a mechitza with access. So the gadol, as far as he's concerned, when he takes a look at the cotton from his point of view, he's entering the cotton through a Pesach. So there's no interference. So he's considered to be fully enclosed in a mechitza and can carry throughout the entire gadol rooftop. Aval cotton also. But here's the flip side. When it comes to the small size roof, he can't carry. Because as far as he's concerned, from his viewpoint, from his angle, he's fully exposed to the gag gadol. He's missing a wall. There's no Pesach there. He has no overlaps. So he's completely parts to the gag gadol, and that creates a concern. Aval cotton also, says Rashi, dilididei havimuloye. because from his perspective, he's fully exposed. V'lav pischu, doesn't have a din of Pesach. V'asur lebnei gadol, and this impacts his halacha. The bnei gadol will not make it asur on him because he's fully exposed to the gadol, to an area where he can't carry. It's nifras b'maloy l'makam asur, and therefore the katan can't carry. So that's the halacha in the Mishnah. We have a large roof next to a small roof. The large roof is considered to be fully enclosed. The access to the small roof is regarded as a Pesach, so that doesn't interfere with him. He can carry, the katan cannot, because he is fully exposed to the gadol. So that's the halacha in the Mishnah. And this is Abaye speaking to Rav Yosef. V'amr salon Allah, and you, Rav Yosef, explain to us on this Mishnah. Amr v'idam Shmuel. So you told us the name of Shmuel. See, here it is. We were looking for where Rav Yosef quoted Shmuel's halacha, that even invisible mechitzas can be lifted. Here it is. Because you yourself told us in the name of Shmuel, Lo yishanu. When do we say that the katan is asur? You know when? Ella sheyesh diur nazeh. We have people living on both rooftops, and they cross from one to the other, so they trample upon that divide between the gadol and katan. Meaning, we're assuming there is a mechitza below the roof level, separating the homes below. We have a large home next to a small home, and there's a mechitza right under that roof. It's not a visible mechitza, it's a mechitza she'ena nikeres. However, according to Shmuel, that can provide mechitza function for the roof above. Just as the homes below are separate, that separation extends and is applied to the rooftops above. And as a result of that, you know what can happen? Not only is the gag gadol mutar to carry, but even the gag katan, because at his point of connection to the gag gadol, has a mechitza there. Where's the mechitza? What do you mean? Yeah, down below in the home there's a mechitza, which halachically extends upwards. So that work, except that we're speaking a case where there are many people walking across the area, and when a mechitza of this sort, this virtual mechitza, is trampled upon, it doesn't really work. So this is what Rabbi Yosef told him in the name of Shmuel. Lo yishanu. When do we say that the katan cannot carry? Because he doesn't have anything to separate him from the large roof. What about the mechitza, which is down below? That doesn't work because we're speaking that there's traffic. Ella sheyesh diur nazeh. There are people living on both rooftops, crossing over this divide, the place of connection between the gadol and the katan, so they're trampling over that virtual mechitza. The havila had katan mechitza nedresses. This results in the mechitza of the katan being trampled upon. It doesn't work. Aval in diur nazeh. But if there's no traffic here, shnei meturn. Both rooftops can carry, because we view the mechitza separating the homes right under those rooftops as though it extends upwards, arises to create that separation between the gadol and the katan. Now the katan is no longer exposed to the gadol. He's fully enclosed and he can carry therein. So this was Abaye's response to Rav Yosef. Look, I remember when you taught us this halacha, this very halacha of Shmuel, that even a mechitza which is not visible can be used as a mechitza. Amar Leis, I responded, actually not. This is what I told you. Lo yishanu. When does the Mishnah say that the gadol is mutar? Ela sheyesh mechitza alzeh. When there's an actual physical mechitza present on both rooftops, on top of the roofs. In this case, since there's an actual mechitza there, and let's remember the gadol overlaps the katan, so the mechitza, the railing around the gag gadol, will actually overlap, create those gifufe, till it gets to where it attaches to the gag katan. So now we have a proper Pesach, because when you're entering from the gadol to the katan, look, you're faced with a mechitza on either side, which creates that doorpost impression, and then in the middle you have the Pesach to the katan. So it's only in that case that it works. You have a mechitza on both rooftops. The gadol mishter be gefufi. As a result, the gadol will become mutar through its overlaps, which create that Pesach. The katan, if it's from a loya, this won't help the katan because he's fully exposed. But if there's no mechitzas here, shnei asurin, both are asur. Because you cannot say, well, let's say, look at this roof. It's sitting on top of a house. And let's use the exterior mechitzah of the house as mechitzas for the rooftop as well. Let's say, good asik. Have them rise upward and create that enclosure around the gag. The enclosure around the gag gadol, which will create a pesach, because it overlaps, it creates those gifufi on both sides of where it enters the katan. As more explained earlier. We can't say that. You know why? As Rashi explains, because according to Rav Yosef's approach now, you can't create a virtual pesach. Why is the gadol mutter? Because he has a pesach between him and the katan. How does he have a pesach? Because he has gifufi. Those overlaps. But he doesn't actually have mechitzas on the surface of the roof. It's those mechitzas from down below which are viewed as though they rise up to create the side posts, so to speak, at the point where he'd like to enter the gag katan. That will create a pesach. That doesn't work. Rashi says a pesach needs to be something tangible, something that's nicker. When you walk through a pesach, you have to feel it. You have to experience the pesach. Look, I'm walking through, two side posts. But in this case, it's all virtual. It's all flat surface. No mechitzas up on top. So those virtual mechitzas, which are going to rise from the house below, even though there are mechitzas nikaris, we're speaking about the outer mechitzas of the home below, surrounding the home, which features that rooftop, which will be viewed as though they extend upward, all around the rooftop to create those gifufi, those overlaps, to create a pesach where he meets the katan. That won't work. That cannot work as a pesach. Therefore, says Rav Yosef, this is actually what I told you. It was a chomer that I told you. That the only way the gadol can be mutter, because he has a pesach, is because he physically has a pesach. There's actually mechitzas on the surface of the rooftop, surrounding the rooftop, and creating those side posts at the point where he connects with the gag katan. So again, just the words loishanu, we only say that the gadol is mutter ela sheish mechitza alzeh, mechitza alzeh. When we have mechitzas here, the gadol mishter b'gefufi, because the larger one has the overlaps, the katan if it's muloyi, as opposed to the small one who's completely exposed. But if there's no mechitzas here, shnei asur, then not only is the katan asur, but the gadol asur as well. Mashal points out that actually all you really need is mechitzas between the gadol and the katan, meaning that the overlaps should have physical mechitzas. But you don't really need mechitzas all around the rooftop, because you can use the mechitzas from down below. The point is to create a tangible pesach, so it's the overlap portion that needs to be tangible. That's the Mashal pointing out. Continues the Gemara. V'hadiyurin amrslan. So Abai responded, but you did say something about people living up there, residents. What did that pertain to? So Rav Yosef says, look, if I mention something about the urine, this is what I told you. This, that the Mishnah tells us that the gadol can use his area, and the katan is asur and is off limits to everybody, because it's a separate entity, it's a separate rishus. So the gadol can't really make use of the gag katan. He must remain within the confines of his gag. That's only said when there's a properly constructed permanent mechitza, which is suitable for living on this rooftop. Likewise, there's a proper mechitza on the other rooftop. In which case, both owners, both residents of both rooftops have indicated, look, this is a place that we'd like to spend time. This is a place of residence. So in this case, the halacha of the Mishnah will apply. The gadol mishri b'gefufi. The gadol can carry throughout his rooftop through the overlaps which create a pesach. The katan, if it's rimaloya, as opposed to the katan who cannot because he's fully exposed. But in a case where it's a bit different, yesh mechitza ru'ila dir ala gadol. The large rooftop has a properly constructed mechitza, which indicates, look, this is going to be a place we're going to use. However, ve'ein mechitza ru'ila l'dir ala katan. The small rooftop does not have a proper mechitza, which indicates that we're not really intending on using this place too often. It's not really a place of use for us. In this case, it's going to be a chiddush. Afilu katan shari l'bnei gadol. In this case, the bnei gadol can use the gag katan. They can incorporate it into their usage area. We don't mean they own it, but they can use it on Shabbos. Why? My timer. Why is this? Since the residents of the small gag haven't constructed a proper mechitza, which would indicate that they're intending on using it on a regular basis. We view them as though they've abdicated their roof, they've removed themselves from the use of their roof, and they're they gave it up. They gave up usage rights to the people living next door, who have a large roof with a nice mechitza, who apparently would like to use the area. The fact that the people in the katan didn't construct a mechitza, a proper mechitza, indicates they don't really plan on using it. And now it becomes annexed over to the bnei gadol. They can use not only their rooftop, but even the small rooftop adjacent to them. So this is different than your typical case of two rooftops next to each other. According to Rabbana, each one's a separate rishus. Here there was an indication of some sort that these people are here to stay, these people are not. And they've relinquished their rights, so to speak. They've allowed the bnei gadol to make use of their rooftop and annex it for the time being to their mokim shimush. And now we regard the entire area, the gadol and the katan, as one rishus, which allows transfer throughout. So in summary, can one be metaltel when we have one rooftop next to the other? Now we're following Shittas Rabbanan, who maintain that each gag is considered to be a separate rishus. So if we have one large rooftop next to the other, if the mechitza is up there on the kares, you can see the mechitzas surrounding the residents, the homes below. They're visible from the rooftops on top. All agree, those gagan are considered to be fully enclosed. They're full of shusayachet, they can carry throughout. But if the mechitzas are not nikaris, are not visible up on the roof, according to Rav, you're limited to 4 ames because each roof is exposed to the other. It's like a carmelis. According to Shmuel, we don't view it as a carmelis because even mechitzas which are not visible up above can function as separators, just as they separate the homes below. That separation, that function rises up above and creates a separation between the two rooftops, and each one is a distinct enclosed entity which allows transfer throughout. We learned about a gag gadol which was samach l'gag katan, and the gag gadol overlaps the katan. Rabbi Yosef told us if there are no tangible mechitzas here, then you can't even carry in the gag gadol because virtual mechitzas can't create a pesach. If there are mechitzas here, then the halacha is that the gadol can carry because he has a pesach between him and the katan, whereas the katan, who's fully exposed to the gadol, is considered to be nifras l'makam ha'asruloi and cannot carry. We concluded that if there is a mechitza kvu, a permanent, proper mechitza, only around the gag gadol and not around the katan, in this case, the people of the gag katan indicated that we're giving up our usage rights to you, and the gag gadol can extend itself and use not only the gag gadol, but they can use the gag katan as well. Where do we find this concept that indicators can change matters? Says the Gemara, we have 3 examples. Kahad Amar of Nachum, as Rav Nachum told us. We're going with Shittas Rabbanan, that all the roofs, all the gagan are considered to be, each one, a separate rishus. And you can't transfer from one to the other. But he's going to be an example where you can. Asa sulam kabula gagan. What if one homeowner established a permanent ladder to allow him to go up to his roof and to use it on a regular basis? But only he did so, but not the other members, not the other rooftop owners. So that indicates that they're relinquishing their usage rights to him. They see him do it and they don't protest, they don't do likewise. Apparently, they don't plan on really using their rooftops. So it becomes all part of his makam shimush, hutu b'chal gan kulon. He's allowed to use not only his rooftop, but the other ones as well. Amar Abai, another example, bon ali al gabi beisi. If he built a second floor another floor over his house. And he constructed a daka, which is a small-sized pesach, from his second floor, facing the other rooftops. Here as well, he can make use of all the rooftops. Why? Because he has indicated, look, I plan on having access to your rooftops. I plan on using it. Look, I have a pesach facing you. And they didn't protest, they didn't indicate otherwise. So apparently they're allowing him to use their rooftops. Sometimes you can have in a reverse scenario that this daka can actually complicate matters and make things awesome. What is an example? So he has this second floor, and he constructed this little pesach not towards the other rooftops, rather towards his tarbitza de base, his garden, his home garden. In which case, he's indicated that he does not intend to use the other rooftops. Look, the second floor of his home, which is facing the other rooftops, doesn't have a pesach towards the other rooftops. There's a mechitza there, blocking access to the other rooftops. So he's indicated that he's actually separating himself from the other rooftops. The Amri or the Amrinon, Linturi Tarbitz Davida. We take a look at this pesach, which is facing his garden, and we say, look, Linturi Tarbitz Davida. It was constructed to allow him to take a look, to guard his garden. And this indicates that indeed he separated himself from the other rooftops, even though he has a second floor which is level to the other rooftops. But the fact that he has a pesach not to the other rooftops, rather to his garden, indicates that he plans on using the floor for this specific purpose, to guard his garden and not to make use of the other rooftops. Therefore, he does not have access. He cannot transfer to the other rooftops. Okay, time for a brief chazor of today's daf. We began with a Mishnah, which discussed gagois, chatzeres, and kafifos, and we have the most lenient shita, which is Rav Shimon. All of them considered to be rishos achas. You can transfer freely throughout all those rishus, because they're considered to be undesignated for intense personal use. They're non-residential areas, unroofed, outdoors. You can transfer freely, but provided this kli did not originate in a person's home during Bein Hashmashos. According to the Chachamim, a roof reflects the residence below it, and each roof is considered to be a separate rishus. According to Rameh, all roofs are regarded as one and the same rishus. Likewise, all chatzeros can be transferred throughout, all karfifos can transfer throughout, provided that we're not speaking about different levels. Because if one rooftop is 10 tefachim lifted from his neighbors, he can't transfer because of the gzeira, because if you do that, you might do the same Rishus Ram, carry from the Rishus Ram up to the mound, which is 10 tefachim high, which is considered to be transferring from Rishus Ram to Seyach. We learned about rooftops which are adjacent to each other, in accordance with Shittas Chachamim, that each one is considered to be a separate entity. So, it all depends. If we have two equally sized rooftops, and the mechitza between them is nikar, so there's a gap between the two roofs, and you see the walls, the outer walls of the homes below, we apply the halacha l'meshem mesina, if good asik, we lift it. We have those mechitzas rise up to the rooftops, and it creates that separation. If the mechitzas are not visible above, according to Rav, they can function as a mechitza. So the rooftop is now exposed to a makam ma'asra, to a place to which you can't transfer. It's regarded as a careless. You're limited to 4 amis. According to Shmuel, in this case, even if the mechitza is not visible, just as they separate the homes below, that separating factor extends upwards and separates those roofs. Each one is considered to be fully enclosed, and a proper shayachid, which allows carrying freely throughout. We learned about a gag gadol adjacent to a gag katan. So if there are no mechitzas here, both are us. If there are mechitzas, the gadol is mutter because he has a pesach to the katan. The katan is asa because he's fully exposed to the gadol. We learned that if there's a proper mechitza only around the gadol and not around the katan, then the gadol can assume usage rights of the katan, which apparently is not too particular about using his roof. And the Gemara concluded with 3 examples of indicators which will influence the halach.